A lot of times people will ask, oh, well, why don't you have multiple offices? Just being a family-owned and operated business, we really just wanted to have that family unit under one roof.
So welcome to episode 5 of the Edgar Cobos Viera podcast. We are back. I have a special guest with me today, my good friend, Nicki Jenne.
Yes.
From Prestige Title.
Yay.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me here first and foremost.
This
is my first time here at CLI Production Studios, and it's beautiful.
Shout out to CLI. Shout out to Ben here assisting. So, I'm happy to have you. So, thank you so much for accepting and wanting to come on. Obviously, we kind of go back a little bit, right?
We do.
So, we're going to talk about some stuff today. Obviously, we've both been in the real estate industry for now a number of years. We've moved around a bit in different roles, but I think we're good ambassadors for Brevard County real estate. I think we've done a lot. Show them the shirt.
Yeah, watch out. We both love realtors. We do. So I had to shout it out today.
I love. No, when you walked in today, I was like, "What did your shirt say?" I was like, "Oh my god, that looks absolutely incredible."
Yes.
So let's do it. So first and foremost, let's talk about who are you? Where are you from? Where'd you come from? How did you get to Brevard County? I know you're not from here.
No.
So give us a little bit of an introduction. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Where am I from? So my name is Nicki Jenne. I am originally born and raised in Dallas, Texas, from a smaller town. It's kind of a bigger town now. It's on the map, called Allen, Texas. That's where I grew up. Spent my childhood there till I was 18. Went to school in Oklahoma, in Edmond.
Okay.
Yeah, not much to do there. So we got very creative in our college years. So that was always a good time. I went and I studied fine arts and had a dance degree. As well as business. So, I know, watch out. Which then took me to Los Angeles to go chase the dream.
Right.
So did that. My parents, of course, were big advocates for going to college and then always having that backup plan because, as we know, dancers don't last forever. Some of them do. Shout out to those that do. It's always in my soul, though. But with that, went out to California, was out there for about 5 years in Los Angeles, got an agent, did all the things that you're supposed to do in the entertainment industry. Did a bunch of auditions, did a couple of cool little few things. Then I was a part of a nonprofit program out there called Dancing Classrooms that will forever be like the thing that shaped me, I think.
Right.
And just learning very early on about children and development. And it was more or less a behavioral program more than a dancing program, teaching fifth graders.
What type of dance are we talking about, though?
Good question. Ballroom dancing.
Ballroom dancing.
Yeah, so it was a 10-week program, and they learned 6 ballroom dances. So merengue, foxtrot, rumba, tango, swing, foxtrot.
No, well, I guess so. No, what did you, like, when you pursued a career in dancing, was it, like, a specific type of dancing? Like, what were you?
Yeah, I was versatile, so all over, but I would say, like, my specialty or my niche would be, like, the things that you see on television.
Got it.
Or,
okay.
like, in concerts. That was kind of like that hip-hop kind of jazz funk. But classically trained in ballet and point, lyrical, jazz, tap, modern, hip-hop, kind of all around. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, did that growing up, did that in California. Then fast forward, met my now husband, out in California, and we're actually a product of Match.com, believe it or not.
Get out of here.
I know, most people don't know that. And then whenever they ask me, sometimes I forget too, and I'm like, oh wait, actually, shout out Match.com.
I've met people like that same kind of thing, and I think that's the purpose it was created for, to kind of, and the people that I've met were like, oh yeah, I met like one person, that was it. It was like, it was on.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So.
He was my
shout out to Match.
Yeah, he was actually my practice date.
No way.
Yeah, for another guy that I was going out with the next night. Anyways, that's a whole other story. But anyway, so my husband, David, he's originally from here in Brevard County.
Okay.
So he was out in California for golf, but was also trained and did a ton of work in construction.
Okay.
And that's kind of where his passion is. He's got that engineer brain and mindset of putting things together.
Right.
So that's his parents and whole family all lived here at that time. They still do. His sister now is gone, but just said, the housing market's bouncing back. People are putting money in their homes again. Kind of put that fire underneath him, and then just kind of encouraged us to potentially move back. We were kind of both in that mid 20.
Yeah.
We were 25, 26, and just kind of like looking for that next step of like, not settling down, but like settling in, just making better money, being able to save money. It's hard to save money in California.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
You're paying for that sunshine tax out there. It's beautiful and you can do a lot of things, but it's very expensive. So, we moved here in 2015. And so, I've been here ever since. So that's what brought me to Brevard County, to Melbourne.
Yeah, it's same. I mean, I got here in 2012, and the rest is kind of history as well. So that's pretty cool. So, so from Texas, spent some time in LA pursuing a dream, and then all roads kind of led back to here to Melbourne, which is, we're kind of in that same boat where, our lives kind of brought us here to the same kind of place. And I think, with that, I think we can talk about how we crossed paths a couple years ago. I think it was, I had just started with Viera Builders, and I remember I was like in training. I was like a sales manager in training, and I remember I'm just sitting in this really nice model, and when people, I think my boss was out, like he was out showing homes, so I was like there by myself, and I heard the door, like chime, and I remember I get up and I walk in, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, I see this, pretty blonde, tall, woman walk through the door, and I was like, hey, I was like, what's up? And
want to buy a house?
Want to buy a house? And then I remember, I think you were equally as nervous because you had just also started in your role, and we kind of were just staring at each other like,
we were both bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, right?
It was so funny, but it's a day I won't forget it. It was like kind of that one day we kind of spoke. You were kind of dropping off some marketing materials, but it's just like we were both had literally just started on our journeys, both respectively in our industries. And again, it's brought us to today where we're now like, we're friends. And we're sitting here, explaining kind of the story. And I think it's pretty cool.
It's obviously really cool too, because obviously the more I would come in, weekly to the models and, see you and see the sales managers and doing my rounds at Viera Builders and just seeing how everyone is doing. But, getting to know you also on a personal level.
Right.
Getting to see your boys being, whenever you and your wife were pregnant and, having the boys get involved. You saw, going through me with some stuff personally and professionally as well, kind of just seeing each other like grow in our ranks as well. And then
of course,
come to find out then your birthday is March 22nd. I'm the 23rd. Shout out Aries. And we were like, watch out.
Yeah, I think, and on top of that too, was like when we both started, it's like we were brand new, I bought my first house and then you did. And we were kind of like always, because you always kind of like stayed in contact, through work. Obviously, you would always stop in and be very present, which is really cool. But it's almost like we've seen ourselves grow over the last 6 years, in a good way, right? I mean, you're killing it right now, and
vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just so awesome to see somebody who kind of we met really early on in the process to see kind of where we are now and still in the industry and still loving it. Obviously, your shirt is a testament to that. So love it. So.
Yeah, excited to see where we go from here too,
right?
Talk
to us. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what really made you kind of get, because you were at first on the financial side of the business, right? I think you've crossed over now to a different aspect, but you're still in the real estate industry right now.
Yep.
What was it you think that really kind of drove you to kind of, get into this industry?
That's a good question. I honestly, whenever I first moved to Melbourne, I had a job because I also worked in Los Angeles for a very specialty like niche type of job. And so with that too, I did marketing.
Right.
So I had a marketing background. I had been working in marketing at that point for about 3 or so years. And then moving here to Melbourne, and there was no marketing job specifically local in Melbourne.
Right.
I had a very quick stint with a hotel company in Orlando, and then realized that travel time was
far.
not for me.
Yeah,
I thought I was equipped for it being from LA. I was like, oh, I'm used to being in the car.
Yep.
Didn't love that. So honestly, just worked from home with the same company that I had in California. And then it honestly was just a matter of time before I saw a marketing position available. So saw a marketing assistant position for Morgan Financial. I knew absolutely nothing about mortgages, barely even knew how to spell it. Green as green can be. So with that, I mean, real estate has always been an attractive type of industry, just knowing a little bit about it. So I just felt, okay, well, I have marketing background. If I can market for, you can translate that into kind of any profession or industry. So just figured, why not give it a shot? Also being here, still new into Melbourne, I figured, okay, I better get a local job if I'm going to really give Melbourne a true shot, because there's a big culture change from Los Angeles to Melbourne as well. So
I can only imagine.
I knew I needed to get friends.
Because you came straight from LA, like, whoosh.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so I need some friends.
And if we go back, 2015, I mean, it's obviously not what it is today.
No.
Right? I mean, it was
so
obviously, it's changed with just more everything, entertainment, more restaurants, and just obviously knowing how to navigate the area, right? I mean, but if your husband was from here, I'm sure he probably had you had a good tour guide at first.
Yes.
Yeah, that must be, when I came from New Jersey in 2012, I don't know, the shock wasn't that big for me, just because I feel like I had already, like, I wasn't looking for, like, nightlife or anything, in that. For me, it was kind of like I wanted to kind of chill. I wanted to slow down.
I want to go to bed at 9.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of slow down. So this for me was ideal, and obviously I wanted to finally, be with my wife or my girlfriend at the time. I didn't care where we were. I said, I don't care where we go, as long as we can be together. Like, I'll live anywhere. Yeah. And we love it here. I mean, it's awesome. So you found the marketing job.
Yep.
And what that was with
Morgan Financial. Yep.
And then you were with them for about how long?
I was with them for 6 years. So it was nice, because the very first thing that they pretty much told me, they said, all I want you to go do is go make friends.
Go make friends. Yeah.
I can do that.
And you did.
Love to talk to people.
No.
And so
I mean,
just kind of immersed myself into trying to get to know everybody. Everyone's, obviously
and
so
kudos,
friendly.
And kudos to Morgan Financial, Joe, and everybody over there.
Taught me so much.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, right? Is that I always feel like, anywhere people go in life, it's like you want to learn. My dad always said, like, wherever you're going to work at, try to learn something, right? Yeah. Take something from it. And I'm sure you took a lot from that. And everything is a stepping stone, right? To something else, to something better, right? If you weren't coming out to see us, because again, here in Brevard County, you have general real estate, and then you have new construction, right? Yeah. We're on the new construction side, so you would always come in. I mean, I remember you guys bringing me cakes on my birthday, my Carvel ice cream cake, which I love. So little things like that were just so awesome. But I think the work that you used to do in general real estate, events, and I remember seeing like, yo, like, does she sleep? Like, she's everywhere.
I get that comment still.
Like crushing it for so long. And just seeing how quickly you were kind of able to go through the ranks, I think. I think that's, you made a name for yourself out here. And I don't know if anybody's ever said like, yo, like, great job, but it's always nice to give people kind of their bravo, because I feel like you've killed it, in the last couple of years, and I know that where you are now and your future stuff, you're just going to continue to crush stuff. So it's really cool. But I'm happy that you're still here in the area, still in real estate, which is nice. You've obviously seen the market, right? We were saying before, you said something before. There were some other people here doing a podcast. You said BC before COVID, and I thought that was pretty funny. But let's talk about kind of this is obviously more or less a real estate podcast, right? How do you see kind of the market? Because, you were deeply immersed in it, right? On the closing side and financial. So take us through pre-COVID, COVID, and kind of where we are today, and kind of like how you feel this area has changed. I know we have interest rates and things like that, but what was it like out there, for you guys, for you just starting out and then kind of going?
Yeah, I would say whenever I first started, it was let's see, 2017 is entering class of 2017,
yeah.
right, between you and I, in February. And so that was a pretty, I mean, I feel like it had been kind of normal, you know, buyer seller, like 50-50 kind of markets, very equal, you know, interest rates were really great. So, and obviously with all the new construction going on in Viera, I remember telling my family and my husband at that time, I was like, man, you know, Viera is the place to be. If we can buy, we should buy right now, because that is a great real estate investment. Right. Just knowing it reminded me so much of my hometown back in Texas too, of just
2017 was a good time to buy out there for sure.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I think anywhere, right, in kind of this area, because it's definitely appreciated a lot in the last couple of years.
So kind of moving through that, I remember, you know, Q4 of 2018, I remember interest rates, I think it was 2018 Q4, I think so, if my memory jogs me correctly. Interest rates had gone up, and I think it was like it was like over 5%.
Right.
Everyone freaked
out. Freaked out, right?
I know all the big banks had like their worst quarters in however many years, and so on and so forth. And so we obviously were preparing, you know, we weren't sure what to prepare for.
Right.
Then interest rates came back down. It was a short little, you know, kind of blip with that increase. And then 2019 was a great year again, because interest rates went kind of back in that 4% range. The housing market was doing very well. Buyers, sellers, both.
Of course.
There wasn't a low inventory, and then 2020 happened. I remember it was specifically like, I think on like March 7th, I think it was March 17th, on like St. Patrick's Day, I was out and about doing some office visits, and I got the call back from the home office, and it said, I really think this COVID thing's a real thing. Like, let's go ahead and just be respectful for everyone. And let's go ahead and bring you back in. Come back to the office. Like, let's prepare.
Come back to the mothership.
Come back to the mothership. So we did. Had a lot of little pass outs that I didn't get to pass out. But anyways, so we were, you know, honestly, everyone in the real estate industry had no idea what was going to happen. We were preparing. We were like, okay, should we shift? Should we pivot? What are we going to do if, you know, this completely halts real estate in general? Yeah,
I think no one, and going back just before that, I think when we were saying 2017 to 2019, obviously in your industry, you guys were, you know, it's all about the rate, right? For me, it's not that we weren't so focused on interest rates, but we knew that like they weren't bad, right? So we kind of, you know, our focus isn't that per se, right? Where our focus is selling homes. You know, if buyer comes in and they're qualified, you know, we're gonna roll. And then COVID happened, and it's like you said, things kind of just got weird for a bit. But then I feel like we all quickly just realized and adapted and said, okay, like, I think we kind of got a feel for this. We have to make some drastic changes to our everyday life. I said, but we have to continue, you know, and thankfully we were able to keep, you know, going, both on the closing side and both in new construction, you know, because we were deemed an essential business in the economy. So we kept rocking and rolling, and that's when the craziness started happening.
Then it was, coming from, you know, on the marketing side, it was even to the point where it was like, Nicki, you don't have to do so much right now. Like, kind of, you know,
because
just like, let's just try to, you know, figure out a way that we can all have like hands on board to take in what is coming in. Cause it was, you couldn't walk down the street without,
because we're talking at that point, we're talking refis and new purchases.
Jesus. I told everybody whenever I refinance my house, I was like, if you're not refinancing your house, you're silly.
No, not only that, but I still talk to people. I have some friends, and if you didn't take advantage of that point in time, you know, from 2020 maybe to 2021, if you didn't refinance or if you didn't buy a home, I don't, you know,
missed the sale.
You missed like the sale of the lifetime, pretty much, because I doubt we'll ever kind of get back to that. What were some of the challenges during that time that you think you experienced? I know, like, you know, we can all say, you know, try to keep a smile on our faces, but, you know, what were some of the challenges you felt?
I would say for us, so one thing, you know, that we were doing back at Morgan Financial, and one thing, you know, there was an idea that, you know, education was and is still very huge. And so, you know, we had, you know, collaboratively had, you know, all got on the same page of we're going to do classes. And so we made it happen, you know, between, you know, it was kind of Joe really initiated that idea. that he wanted to do the classes. He has so much knowledge, right? So to share it with everybody, share it to our realtor partners and to anyone else in the industry that wanted to hear about it. So implementing with, myself and my team, honestly, like shout out to them for having such consistent and up-to-date content. So we were doing that, in person. And then all of a sudden COVID happened. And then we said, okay, we got to adapt. We have to shift.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that? Thank goodness for technology.
Right.
Because then there was Zoom. And then there was, ways that people could stream from the comfort of their own home and feel like it was a safe space for them, but they could still consume that content. We could still be that resource for them. So I feel like that was like, in my world, that was kind of the biggest shift of, okay, we were doing everything. We had our processes down for in-person classes. Now we need to change that. And some of the change then also happened with the content too, because real estate agents totally changed their business too.
Of course. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Showing homes or having people come into the model homes, that was completely changed. You guys changed from walk-ins to appointments only, right?
We were appointment only. I mean, it was hard, I think. But I mean, we kind of just said to ourselves, like, we're not going to lay down, right?
Yeah.
We got to keep going. So
Keep making it happen.
definitely challenges. I think, it's a time I kind of feel that you almost want to forget, but you kind of can't, because you always look at the good and the bad, I feel, and there were good things that came of that. I remember there was a period where, some of the sales managers, we were getting some time off just to limit the amount of people.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I think I like they was like, just go home for 2 weeks. And I was like, what? Right.
Yeah,
and
that's unheard of.
It was
right?
like in the midst of like the really thick of it where, people were dying and like, all over the world. And, but I said to myself, I had my 2 boys at the time, and it was like 2 weeks of just being home with them. Yeah. And it was like the best thing ever.
True.
Right? We had a, nice big backyard. I had a blow up pool. I mean, we were just, I think we celebrated my son's, I want to say 3rd or 4th birthday at home, and Zoom called everybody. And my wife, did all the balloon. But it was just us. It almost felt like there was no one else in the world, at that time. And it was literally just us. And I mean, it was very weird at first because I just was so anxious, right? I'm saying to myself, oh my God, I'm missing out on deals. But, I very quickly realized that it's like, this is the time that I just needed to, to disconnect and when I realized the value that it gave me to spend that time with my family, kind of just unbothered, nothing. I mean, that's something I take away from it. And I say to myself, wow, like, at least it gave me, that, which again, might be minimal, but in the grand scheme of things, it was super cool.
Then too, where as before, I know, every day we're hustling, right?
Every day we're hustling. Tell them about that.
Yeah, I know. So we have. It was funny because I walked in one time, one of my weekly visits to Edgar, and all of a sudden he has this little plaque on his office, and it says "Every day I'm hustling," and I said, Edgar, do you know that I have the same one on my desk? It was actually a gift.
Yeah, me too. My wife got it for me because she knows that we're, moving and shaking out here. So then I was like, wow, look at us connected again. Yet again, we're always like this, right? So it's a new day now, right? I mean, it's, time has passed, thankfully. I think, we've, I think we moved on from all that. Things are looking up and a lot better. Rates are different now, right? Obviously. Yep. But tell us a little bit about your current gig. I mean, are you working on some cool projects? What is it that what's your role right now at Prestige? Tell us a little bit. I don't know if you can maybe want to go into, what title is and, stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool too to talk about. But give us a little bit of insight of where are we today?
Where are we today? Yeah, yes. that was before. Here we are today over at Prestige Title, and I'm the marketing director over there. So kind of just going back a little bit to kind of the grassroots piece of it too, of doing that business development piece, but then also having that creative side of, okay, this is what, I foresee that, that we need to showcase with the company, and kind of just having some of those plans in place as well. So it's kind of like the two-sided brain.
Was it an easy transition?
Super easy. Yeah. I think my first day, it was really funny too. It's like your first day of school and you're like, oh my gosh, who am I going to sit next to at lunch? And like, do I bring my lunch? Do I go out to lunch?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they knew who you were, I think there was everyone knows.
Yeah, there was 3 people. Well, and Prestige, honestly, like Prestige and Morgan Financial have been such great companies together, have worked together
hand in hand
for the
almost,
last
right?
15 years.
Right.
There's some personal relationships there between the two owners. And so, and, you know, honestly, even right now, like the owners of Prestige Title, they're actually on a trip right now that I was supposed to be on originally. So they're actually with my in-laws. So there's personal relationships as well. So they were always like, they are family, you know,
I got you.
And it is a family owned and operated company. So I think there was like 3 people whenever on my first day that I didn't know. So then I realized very quickly, you know, this feels like home as well. And it's just more about, you know, just learning their systems and their process. And honestly, just the whole title piece of it. I only was scratched the surface whenever I was on the lending side, and just, you know, I would attend the closings and stuff, but that's all I, you know, really would get into as far as my role was, you know, pertained at on the lending side to title side. So just kind of learning a little bit more what that entails. Obviously, you know, buying a house also helps because then you kind of get a little bit more involved in that process. Shout out. I actually closed my house at Prestige too. So I knew right away what that client experience was like.
The last house that I sold, I closed it with Prestige as well. So
nice. Was it a good experience?
Of course.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Good. They had these cookies in the front that were really good.
Always. Freshly baked every day.
No way.
Yes.
Seriously?
Every day. Yeah. On National Cookie Day, I actually did a whole like content piece of it. I learned myself how to make the cookies. And I even said, I was like, oh, what are we doing with these cookies that were from yesterday? And they said, oh, we'll just give them out to the staff. But for, you know, clients, like, they get fresh cookies every day. So
marketing director at Prestige, that's the office located on US 1, I think. That's what I've been to.
Yep, we have just the one central location off of US 1 and like Pineda.
Right.
So, but we do have, and so a lot of times people will ask, oh, well, why don't you have multiple offices? Just being a family owned and operated business, we really just wanted to have that family unit under one roof. Yeah. And to keep that culture. Sometimes, you know, if you have multiple locations, it doesn't happen for everybody, but just kind of the theory and the philosophy that we just wanted everyone to be under the same roof. But then, okay, well, how do we, you know, overcome that issue? So in 2019, BC before COVID, this is where that came from. Sean, one of our owners, he and the rest of the team drove up. I don't even know where he got this passenger van. It's like a smaller passenger van, completely gutted it, wrapped it, put a conference room table in there. It's fully handicap accessible as well, full Wi-Fi capabilities. So if, you know, whenever you're closing on your property, if you're on the buyer side, we can, you know, do everything with
just pull up to where
the mortgage company that we can, you know, scan everything and fax it over, not fax.
And that was, so that wasn't, and I'm sure that was a big help when COVID happened. I mean, and they did that kind of, that's crazy. They
foreshadowed
BC. They did that way before, you know, even, you know, we had any idea what was going to happen. So that's awesome.
It serves as another closing suite. So and
it's still in operation.
It's still in operation.
It's on the road right now doing probably 10 closings today.
There was a lot yesterday. I know that. Yeah. My goal, honestly, my big goal is I want to have 2 of those suckers rolling around. So that way, because again, it's a convenience factor.
Can you put a hot tub on the back? Remember those limos that had
the... That's good.
I never saw it in person, but I know they were a thing. Like, you know, limos aren't a thing anymore. But remember, we were young, seeing like cartoons and stuff. It's like limos with like hot tubs in the back. Yeah. Tell them. Let's see if
I don't know how many people would get in the hot tub, but hey, it's an idea.
No, I know. But tell us a little bit also in terms of what role a title company plays in a transaction.
Yeah. So title, essentially, if you think of title insurance. If you think of just insurance in general, insurance, like homeowners insurance, will protect you from the day that you purchase moving forward. Correct. If anything was to happen. Title insurance is everything from that day backwards. Right. So making sure that, you know, there's no liens on the property, there's no, you know, issues with title, with ownership. Yep. That everything looks clean.
That it's a clean title.
It's clean. Yes. That's the most important part. And so just making sure that all of that. So whenever as a new homeowner that you go in, that you're not having Aunt Sally's cousin's brother's daughter that's coming after that all might have some sort of ownership to this property. Right. Mm-hmm. Come to find out later on through, you know, bad deeds or whatever.
And typically they're also the ones that, well, you know, I think they're the ones that balance the CD at the end, right? Yep. Closing disclosures and kind of send. And they're the ones at the end. You know, I just closed on a property, not with Prestige, someone else, so we're not going to mention them. But, I mean, the experience, they're the ones there, you know, facilitating. You go there, sign.
It's the happy time.
It is the happy time.
It's the cherry on top.
It's the finish line, basically,
Absolutely.
is what it is. Yeah.
So I mean, at Prestige, we really take pride in just knowing that, everyone who comes in that door, they're there for a different reason. And so to even just be a chameleon in that, most times it's for really happy moments. Sometimes it's sad moments.
Really?
Well, if there's a loss in the family and someone has to sell, and that's kind of like their ending chapter.
I got it.
On the seller side. But for, homeowners, obviously it's for the most part happy times, or if sometimes it's not as well, depending on divorce situations or whatever the case may be. So we just, try to, meet the client where they want to be met and just have the most positive experience. The second that they walk in, that they get the ambiance, that they are in a relaxing,
of course,
professional environment. And so it was a year ago in February that we completely remodeled the office as well, and all the closing suites. So completely refreshed, and everyone that walks in, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is a spa, or it's really fancy. And it's kind of the purpose too.
Of course. Yeah, no.
And then they get the freshly baked cookies. The coffee machine is outstanding, drinks, snacks, whatever that they want.
It's actually pretty how do I explain it? It's like, it's actually not that difficult to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, offer a couple of cool things and, a nice environment, like you said, that's maybe pleasing to the eyes. Maybe that smells good. Like I learned that with our models, right? The reason people come into our homes and fall in love, it's number one, it's staged beautifully, right? Which is
gorgeous,
by design, right? All the design options that our design team selected, from flooring to countertops to cabinet, is expertly, and everything kind of flows together. Then you come into the model, right? And we have scent machines around the model. So you come in, you're like, wow, it just smells so good, right?
Always.
And then you have a little music playing in there, right? Ambiance, right? And then what happens? People, it's like they fall in love, and it's, or they come in and they feel at ease, right? And it's just because of the ambience that we've created for these buyers to come in, right? Similar to kind of what, it's that attention to detail, right? The buyers come in, the cookie, like, again, I remember that, and I'm literally like, that was probably the best experience.
I love that.
And it was a happy time, right? Because they gave me a big fat check, and I walked out of there. I should have took more cookies, but
Come back. Get you some cookies.
We will. Yeah. But I think that's super important to kind of creating that experience. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not hard. You just got to do a couple things, details, and make people happy. Very cool. So I like it.
We actually did just add one more element to our client experience too, because we were just thinking of new things and so on and so forth, and so. One thing that it just launched actually this month. So we shout out to The Price is Right. We love Plinko, and I think Tanya had this idea. The
Price is Right?
Yeah.
Bob Barker just died.
I know.
R.I.P.
So I know.
Remember that skinny mic he used to carry?
I know, that was amazing.
They were like 2 hands.
Yeah, it's like, this is all you need. And so I know that we were talking about, updating the client experience and just like, what can we do? And we thought, okay, is there a game? And then I think Tanya said, I love Plinko. And so we had thought about this idea, and so we needed to have a custom Plinko board made. So had that all made. It's all branded.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. So then had that delivered. Now just thinking about, okay, what do we do? How do we incorporate it? So at closing, anyone who comes in for a closing, there's a couple different options on the bottom to get, like little closing gifts, some swag. And then in the middle, because that was like always the $10,000 mark one. So if they land in the middle, then they get their name written down, and then at the end of the month, or at the beginning of every month, on that Monday, we're going to do a generator, like a raffle generator. And so every month we're updating that grand prize. So this month it's 4 Halloween Horror Pass tickets.
Nice.
To Universal. Yeah. So
nice. And so you got to close on a home for that, though.
You do have to close on a home for that. But if you're a realtor,
realtors, of course, realtors can also do it too.
They can play. They're only eligible for the grand prize.
That's fine.
So
that works.
Anytime that they come in. So that's both if you're representing the buyers or the sellers, whatever it might be. So that's realtors and lenders, anyone who comes in, honestly.
Have you found that, again, you're obviously still in a marketing role, director of marketing now. What's the difference between marketing for, let's say, a financial or a lender versus marketing with the title company?
I would say like the main difference. So on the lending side, predominantly my target audience would be buyer's agents. So agents that are predominantly working and showing buyers homes.
Right.
Versus on the on the title side, I'm now listing focused. So I'm going for agents that have listings.
Have you ever thought about like, I mean, it's almost like you're learning real estate backwards. I kind of think like you're
a little bit.
You were on the lending side. You probably amassed an enormous amount of knowledge from that industry that you can probably speak of. We can do a whole podcast just on that. To now going into, the world of title and title insurance. I mean, and now you're going to get, even more knowledge under your belt. I mean, I think the question everyone wants to know is, when are you going to get your real estate license?
I can't tell you how many times
I've
been asked that. I just got asked it yesterday again from a realtor. They said, when are you going to get your real estate license?
Because if you think about it, and again, this is obviously you're doing great, but if you think about it, it's like the amount of knowledge, like normally people just, okay, I'm a realtor, I'm going to focus on selling homes, and we know a little bit about kind of every kind of little aspect of the transaction.
Yeah.
But you've gone from one industry, in the same industry, one niche to the next. But like I said, you're learning. It's almost like you're learning from the back end.
Yeah.
And marketing is basically goes hand in hand with actual real estate, because what are they doing? They're listing homes. That's marketing.
Oh, marketing matters. Big
marketing
time.
matters. So I don't know. Just thought about that. I think the people want to know, but we'll save that for another stay tuned.
I'm not sure. I mean, I have so much respect for real estate agents. I always say that realtors are like ducks. They're, whenever you see a duck, they're just floating along the water like this, so graceful, and underneath they're like working so hard, and I'm like, golly, and they're dealing with, obviously on the title side too, but my target audience that I deal with is realtors, right?
Right, of course.
So I'm not typically dealing with the general public or anything like that. Other than whenever they're, if they're coming in for closings, and if I happen to see them, then I get, I'm trying to, enhance that client experience. Be like, oh my gosh, it's closing day and all that. But for the most part, I'm typically out and about anyways. But yeah, so I don't know.
You're in your car a lot. You're moving around.
I'm a road warrior. Absolutely.
How does Prestige, do they only work in the county?
So we can just like
anywhere in Florida.
We can do anywhere in Florida. Yeah. So we've been able to service, clients that have used us before here in Brevard, and if they have another property, maybe they have an investment property in Tampa or whatever, so they just want to stick with us, and that's great, and we can absolutely facilitate.
And typically, who is it the seller that chooses the like where to close at, pretty much?
It differs from county to county from what I've been told. So here in Brevard County, typically the seller is the one that chooses.
Yeah, so if I'm selling my house, you're buying it.
Yep.
I'm saying, hey, we're closing, at Prestige, and that's it. Okay.
And a lot of times the sellers don't really have a preference. They usually ask the real estate agent. They say, where do you typically close? Or the real estate agent educates them and says, hey, this is
right.
We have to choose a title company. This is who I use for, all of my clients, and so on and so forth. So that's also been kind of a difference as well. Whereas on the lending side, you kind of have to jump through a couple more hoops. I think people are a little bit more intimate with their finances.
Yeah.
Where on this
you're not
title side,
much.
they're like, whoever you can, doesn't matter to me. So,
and then in a normal real estate transaction, right? Let's say normal purchase, let's say 45-day close. How long does that title process take, you think?
Once we submit over to underwriting, depending on, what comes back, I would say it's 7 days before we get that back. So, I mean, we've been able to close, on more cash deals. I know that there's been, sometimes it's been 6 or 7 day closes.
Yeah.
From whenever we get everything back and, make sure everything's settled. Very quick turnaround times. So, but I would say, standard, a lot of times we can close within that 14-day to 15-day period, of course, depending on that house and how that title search comes back as well.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times we're also, just like realtors are waiting as well. We're waiting for appraisals. We're waiting for, there's time frames for each thing. And we're waiting for inspections. We're waiting for, loan approval. We're waiting for, there's a couple of different things. So a lot of times we have to jump through those hoops first before, settling out on our side.
And then how does a title company like Prestige, how are you guys basically interpreting the market right now with rates and stuff like that? Like, what do you guys do differently? Or are you guys kind of just waiting in the crosswinds? Because, rates are going to be rates, right? And if rates continue to go up and no one starts buying houses, then there's, or buying or selling, then there's going to be no more.
Slow down,
It's going to slow down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guys dictate, or what do you guys kind of do or plan to do kind of in those scenarios? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's different for everybody, but
yeah, I would say in those scenarios too. So like I know, so Prestige actually was started in the early crash. So I know
that's probably what, like 2007, 2008.
Yeah. So I know everyone thought, man, you guys are crazy for opening up your own title company at this time. It's real estate's not good.
Sure.
But they did they did short sales. I know, both Jeremy and Sean, they were doing all the things that people didn't want to do. And so they just said, we're going to go through the trenches with our partners. So same sort of thing, I think, in that same mentality of, listen, like, let's partner up together. Let's all get creative with our real estate partners, because they really are our lifeline to, our business.
Of course.
And we wouldn't be where we are in the success that we've had if it wasn't for them. So we truly believe in that value of partnership. Okay, let's lock arms. Like, being on the marketing side, again, it can be transferred into, there's been plenty of times I've been given, opportunities to sit down with real estate agents and say, okay, let's come up with a marketing plan. What are you doing? Where is your CRM? What does that content look like? To just really, help them and, think outside of the box in their regard too. Because sometimes they get you get your real estate license, or the market changes or shifts. There's so many things available out there, and it's just trying to figure out what works for them, and then just, helping them and encouraging them for that.
I think you really kind of, you said it. It's, you have to reinvent, I mean, if someone's going to think that they're just going to do the same thing forever, or, I mean, the core business is going to stay the same. Right. But you obviously are going to adapt naturally with the way the market's going to shift, without here. I mean, and I think, and they've been out here since 2008. Like, Prestige has been in this Brevard.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, they've weathered this storm, right? Yeah. So, and I think anybody, any business like that, whether it's a title, any type of business, right? We can say a restaurant, anything. Yeah. You've been in this county for that long of a time. I mean, and if you're still successful, there's a reason for that, right? Because you're able to adapt to different scenarios like COVID and different things, and the market shifts. So that's good. I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
Well, they have you, so I don't think they're gonna have a problem.
Oh,
You'll come up with the bright idea, and you'll figure it out, which is really cool.
next big thing.
The next big thing. Yeah. What do you think, if you were to look at the last, let's say, 6 to 7 years, both on a professional level and then your personal level, what are you taking the most out of everything, you think?
Ooh.
I mean, kind of.
I think, the most thing that I take out of is the relationships.
Of course.
Through and through. This is I think the reason that I love this industry so much is because it's such a relational business.
It's a great industry as a whole, but I think it's even better here in Brevard for us.
Yeah.
No, it's I mean, again, I work in a bubble. Yeah. I like to say it, in Viera. But I mean, I've met so many people, relationships, realtors, both clients that have, like yourself, right? That we can kind of call on each other and things. So it's not always it's not always work, but I just feel like it's such a cool industry that we have out here, both the real estate, the lending side. Everyone's friends. Like, at least I think everyone's friends. No, but I mean, it's just, it's not like an Orlando market or a big market. It's like, it's a cool place to be. It's an awesome place to live. Yeah. And working and operating out of here is good. So the relationships is a cool thing. Yeah,
I think that, what differs Brevard also maybe from other counties is the humility part of it. And, even whenever COVID happened, or even, obviously real estate has just slowed down a little bit,
right,
compared to the last couple of years. So like being able to call some of my friends in the lending world, in the title world, even I have lots of great friends in the title world too. We can all just take off our hats and just like, let's drop the egos for a little bit, or even if there was no egos, of just being like, hey, are you guys busy? Or what are you seeing out there? And just being able to collaborate on that regard.
Exactly.
So then it's like, okay, it's not just me that I'm feeling this, or, whatever that might look like, or, hey, asking for help, and other companies being willing to help you as well. I think
there's definitely, I think you're right. I don't think
here.
there's that big of an ego factor like you would see like maybe in like Miami.
Right.
Right. Where like, everyone's probably faking the funk anyway. Yeah. Out
not
here,
answering
man,
their phone. They're like, you're not important. I'm
yeah.
not
Everyone out
phone.
here is really kind of just like, I think for the most part, everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
And if they can help each other, I think they will. And I think that's what makes this particular area, Brevard, it's almost like it's like one big family. I feel sometimes. Again, I'm in a bubble. I'm in new construction, but we work with so many realtors. And and I root for all these realtors too. And I see, I have tons of friends, that are killing it. I have a good amount of realtor friends that are even, that come here to CLI and do content. And, it's good to see, because you want to see everybody do well. You want to see them to continue to, be successful. And I think that's really cool. Like yourself, right?
Yes.
It's nice to see, I think when I saw that you had like transitioned to Prestige, I mean, at first I was like, oh wow, right? Just like anything else, it was maybe a little bit of a shock, right?
Yeah.
But I knew, right, because I don't think we had spoken right away, but I knew, like I said, well, I mean, it's got to be for a reason. I mean, she's gonna kill it no matter what, wherever she goes, right? So so that's a good thing too. What else? The other thing I wanted to talk is, so you are a mom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what that's been like, and maybe kind of that work-life balance, to that. How have you, because obviously when we started, we didn't have kids, we were
still living
we were basically just
married lives,
we were
at that point.
every day we're hustling. Yeah, we were just in, with being married.
Yeah.
And then kids came into the picture. So what's it been like for you now? How old is he?
He is.
Tell his name again.
So his name is Joseph David Jenne the third, but we call him Trey for the third.
And how old is Trey now?
He is a little over a year and a half, so he'll be 2 in January.
So what's that been like? I mean,
it is the
most
honorable and humbling position I've ever been involved in. And just the coolest thing, obviously everyone that is a parent, like, definitely knows what that's like, to just see a little tiny human being, and they adapt to everything that you do, and you are their life.
Yeah.
And so, what an amazing leadership position in general. I've been in leadership positions before, and this one is by far exceeds all of them, because he's watching every move. Like, even just the other day, I did something, and 20 minutes or something had passed, and he mimicked me, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think that he was capable of doing something like that. So, it's like Pete and repeat. So I think, my work-life balance before, and I had a good friend, Derek, actually, and we worked together over at Morgan, and fun fact, Derek actually married my husband and I, but he told me, he said, man, Nicki, I can't wait to see you become a mom, because it's going to completely change the way, not completely, but it'll change your perspective a little bit of how you view work. And I didn't understand that. And I was like, Derek, eye roll, you don't know what you're talking about. And it totally changed everything about how I see work. I'm very, I try to balance my time. I try to set boundaries. If I'm at home, I'm at home with him until he goes to bed. And then I can answer back some of those emails and those texts, of course. But for the most part, I'm just trying to be present and trying to be good at what I'm doing in that moment. So,
also enjoying, that time, right? Like you said, being present, because it goes so fast, but.
And I think that, I feel like most people that we work with are parents as well, so they completely understand that boundary, and they respect it even more too.
I hope they would, right?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously
they do.
And I appreciate you too. Like, I mean, even a backstory, we were supposed to do this before, but unfortunately Trey got sick.
Yeah,
had strep throat.
Yeah,
and pink eye, and then you
imagine me saying, "No, you have to come in."
Yeah, you're never coming back, Nicki. That's it. Cut.
No. I mean, of course. I mean, he's at the age where he's gonna get sick. I went through the same thing. My boys are 6 and 4, and I think they're kind of past a little bit, but it's hard. And I think for me, I always say I'm blessed in the sense that it's like I work 2 minutes from my house, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a commute, right?
That's nice.
So you think about, there's people out there that might drive 40 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
back and forth, that's taken away from family time, right? And I am also kind of getting better at kind of turning off, right? I feel like we live in a culture where overworking is like a cool thing and people brag about it. It's like, I kind of don't think that's a cool thing anymore. Yeah. It's like, people need to value kind of like just like, I used to do it. Oh, yeah, working so hard, and stuff like that. And I get it, right? But I mean, maybe we need to kind of step a little bit back from that and kind of, see kind of what's really important, because I have had times where I'm home and I step outside on a phone call, and because I feel like my clients, and yes, there's that balance, but I'm trying to be better at that, for sure, because.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had that same mentality before being a mom was, oh, you're not working hard enough if you're not putting in so many hours, right. Because that was what was proving that you work hard.
Yep.
But now I'm like, wait, I think the real flex is you can work hard in the amount of hours and still have that family balance in there too.
Have like a healthy work-life balance. I think that's what it is, that.
Have time for the gym and we talked about that
big
too.
Big time. So now you've been here, going on how many years total out here?
In Brevard?
Yeah.
So I think in June it was 8 years.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what you guys enjoy doing out here when you're not working.
Ooh, well, it's kind of changed as well, just with having Trey, just doing, a little bit more family time. David loves to surf, and right now we've got all these hurricane swells, so we've been frequenting the beach.
No way. Okay, yeah, that goes kind of hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
They're probably like, some people are probably like, hurricane, we got to go buy stuff. He's like,
he's charging waves. So we've been frequenting the beach a little bit more just because of that. Right. So we like to, go to the beach. A lot of family time. So my in-laws, his parents live here. So hanging out with them. We love going to the local restaurants and breweries and stuff around. Breweries are huge from a parenting perspective, because you can bring your kids and you're like, awesome, I can sit here. I feel like,
what's a good brewery, a shameless plug, you like to go to?
I would say Intercoastal, just because they've got the outdoor and you can let the kids run free. And there's always kids up there, so it's nice because then they make little friends too.
That's always cool.
A lot of park dates as well. We do a lot of parks now with having Trey. And then I would say, other than that, so we've completely remodeled our house as well. So I feel like in our free time, whenever we have one more bigger project, our master bathroom. Of course, we waited till the end to focus on our things.
Because you got basically, I've seen you show me pictures. It looks.
Yeah.
And David
did everything.
By himself.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah. No, I give him all the credit for that.
I can change a light bulb.
Yeah. Oh, watch out.
Yeah. I maybe hang a picture, but not too much else. I'll just call somebody.
Yeah.
My dad always gets on me. He's like, you do not do anything. I'm like, yeah, but it gets done right the first time.
There you go. Yeah.
No, so I've seen pictures. Guy's talented. Jesus.
Yeah. So obviously that's what he does full time too. So, we get
So last remodel's the master bath.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
very cool.
We've just actually picked out tile, and it's next to my nightstand right now. So now I'm like, all right, honey, when can we? I know that. And then here's the thing too. It's like he does it all day long. So then it's like you don't want to come home and do your work again.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I guess he'll get to it. Don't worry. He's gonna do it.
That's what it is. He'll get to it. And then it's a 6-month long project, but that's okay as long as it gets done. Then
cool story too. So I remember when my son was first born, my wife is looking around for photographers.
Oh, yeah,
right?
true.
She started looking for, and I remember asking her what is it exactly that we're doing? I remember when I was young, they took me to Sears, and you would take just pictures. Sears, and my wife was like, no, I see her spent a couple days just kind of researching, and then she said, hey, she puts it on my calendar. We have a Google Calendar, and it popped up. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I remember we drove out to Lake Washington area, right? And it was this super beautiful property. I remember, I get there and it's there was the main house, and then there was this little, I called it a little cottage.
It is, yeah.
Right?
The studio, yeah.
And I go in there, and it was so funny because first off, it was so hot in there.
Oh,
right?
By design.
They had the heater on and stuff like that. Ashley Hill.
Yep.
Am I saying that correctly? Yep. People still tell us who did these pictures for you. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. She then did, when Landon was born, we did a brother shoot and things like that. And then come to find out, She's related to you.
Yeah, that's my sister-in-law.
That's your sister-in-law. So it's so funny, kind of how that worked out too. Shout out to Ashley Hill. I don't think I think they left the area for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope she's still taking pictures wherever she is.
Yeah.
So
she.
Jesus, super talented.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have a photographer in the family. So
yes.
She did all of Trey's newborn photography. She did our maternity shoot. Mm-hmm. I unwillingly. I was like,
she did a maternity shoot too.
Did she? Yeah.
I think so.
She did the maternity and
yeah. It was just at a farm somewhere, I think. That's how I remember. Yeah.
And then does family shoots as well. She did our Christmas photos and
my God. I mean,
got to dress up Trey as Santa Claus. So that was really
and like
cute.
At that time I was like, pictures. I'm like, like why do we need this?
Yeah.
And then I figured out, I'm like, oh, okay. Like when she showed me, because I'm a grump, man. Yeah. Like, I'm always just like, babe, like come on, like, And then when I see it, then I take all the credit all the time.
There you go.
I'm always just
amazing.
like,
I'm so glad
you
I found her.
I'm like, do you see? Like, and she just kind of rolls her eyes. She knows. She deals with me, I guess.
Shout out Glorbell.
Shout out Glorbell.
Yeah.
Jesus. So I think we're kind of coming up to time. So there is one question I like to ask everybody, right? The grand finale. Favorite food?
Mexican.
Mexican. That was fast.
Queso
well, coming from Texas.
So it's like Tex-Mex.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah. Queso, I can drown myself in.
No
queso.
way.
Oh, yeah. No, and Tijuana Flats knows that. Like, I think on my way here, I had an advertisement that it was like all these like 5 different types of queso dips.
So Mexican or Tex-Mex, that's like your last meal. Like, that's it. Probably.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
a loaded question. Last meal, I would have probably a blend of things, but if I was to go genre.
Yeah, so favorite food, Tex-Mex, what's your last meal?
I mean, I'd have to, gosh.
Tidal wave, tsunamis coming, hit off of the Atlantic. We're about
like
to,
a filet mignon.
A filet mignon?
Mignon. I mean, I'm from Texas, so I like beef as well. Like a good.
I like that.
Tender.
When I went to Texas a couple years ago for a wedding, my cousin's wedding, we were outside of Dallas. It was called, was it Westlake or something like that? I don't remember. But there was this place called Torchy's Tacos.
Fun fact, get this. I met the owner of Torchy's Tacos in Park City. So we were like doing this tubing thing, and we're like
in Utah.
And David and I are there, and then all of a sudden he starts talking, and he says he's from Texas, but he has a place out in Park City. Then we're talking again. I like to talk. And he tells me, he's like, oh yeah, I own Torchy's Tacos. And I said, what do you mean? And it started off as a food truck. And then he knew exactly. I said, oh, my parents live in Allen. He said, oh, that was like store number 33. He knew exactly. So shout out, I forgot his name, but I mean, I looked him up and it validated that it was him. But yeah, Torchy's. Good. I mean,
yeah, I love food to begin with, but I mean, I love also Tex-Mex food as well. And when I went out there, I remember when we got there, the next day I remember telling my cousin, like, hey, we're going to rerun it around. What should we eat? She's like, you got to go to this place called Torchy's.
Yeah,
it's right by the house. I'm like, okay. She sent me the link. And I remember we get there, and my wife loves it too. She loves all that type of food. And it was their queso. I've never had queso like that. Even out here, I mean, Tijuana Flats is awesome.
Yeah.
But it was not.
Nothing here is compared to
You ever
Texas
eat something?
queso.
You ever eat something? Just look at your wife or your like.
What's this? This is heaven.
What is this?
Liquid gold.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No, it was, and I think while I was there, I probably went 2 more times just to eat because I was like, I'm not gonna find this anywhere else. And then I had really good barbecue.
Oh yeah, barbecue
out there. Wow, I ate so much brisket when I was in Texas.
Yeah. And
sausage. Nice. So
my first job was at La Finca, and it was a Mexican restaurant. I did like the takeout orders. Mm-hmm. They made their tortillas fresh, and they always had like the queso dip on the line. I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble because I just would take the tortillas.
Seriously?
Oh my gosh, to the queso. They're like, Nicki, please stop eating the queso.
Do you still have family in Texas?
Yeah.
All your family, or
yeah, so my mom and dad.
Okay, they're still there.
My brother, sister-in-law.
Why can't we? I mean, I'm sure you have a realtor, and then I'm sure you could pair them with a lender and a title. Like,
I know.
Why is this not like?
I've got all the.
It's like connect the dots for them already.
I know. Yeah, my brother's a pilot out there for Southwest, so the hub is right there in Dallas, and they love it. So I mean, in due time, maybe.
Well, that's another thing that kind of we have in common. I mean, I don't have anybody here.
Yeah, I know. They're all.
My whole family's up in New Jersey. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing, right? It's like, how can I? But they love it up there too, you know. And I love it here, and I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
So,
I mean,
all
it's
right.
like 80 degrees all the time. So
Thank you.
thanks for
so
having
much.
me, Edgar.
This mic is in my face. But no, you killed it. Thank you for coming on episode 5. I know you're so busy.
You can find me on. I think my Instagram handle is I am Nicki Jenne. Because I am Nicki Jenne. And so you can find me there. Obviously, prestige title of Brevard is all of our social media plugs as well.
Cool.
Would love to connect with you if you're a real estate agent. Would love to, check in with you, see how we can help grow and implement different things in your business. And, of course, giving you the best closing experience possible.
Bam.
Watch out.
Watch out.
I love realtors.
I love realtors. Say it again. Show them one more time.
I love realtors.
So thank you again. Thank you to Ben here at CLI Studios. Episode 5 is a wrap.